Well, hello my crafty friends, and welcome to another video by yours truly again, and thank you for your company, and welcome to my next little demo that I'm going to do for you. And if you like what you see and you've enjoyed my videos, please like and subscribe below. That'd be absolutely wonderful, and hit that notification bell so that you get future notifications of when I do a video. And also like and copy to your own Facebook pages and Instagrams and TikToks and any other groups that you belong to. If you could copy and share, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Now, as you can see, we are doing another Christmas card. This is what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to show you how we'll be doing the background, a little bit of embossing, stamping, and then mounting it onto a 5x7 card. And I have done quite a few here. Now you'll notice there's a difference here. This one here is done with the original distress ink pads. So, and this one is exactly the same colors but done with the oxides. So, and I will be using the normal distress inks on this one, but if you want to use the oxides and want to get a more subdued background, then that is absolutely fine. The choice is yours, providing obviously if you've got the colors. Right, so what we'll be using, we're going to be using Christmas Time 2 Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz collection, and we're going to be using this star peace sign for the top of the card. So put that to one side, and I have got Mini Holidays 4, which is the Tim Holtz, again, Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz collection, and this is a mini version of what a mini version of the bigger stamp. So you've got is another stamp set with bigger images on, so all these are like bigger, but I'm using obviously the mini version. So oh, excuse me. Card blanks, 5x7. I've got about 4 of those. I don't know if I'll be using all of those. And we will be using cream card to stamp on and doing our backgrounds, and some gold card for matte and layering for later. So I'll put those to one side. Now the inks that I will be using, I have got them here. Again, as many of you seen, this is my favorite, I think, color combination in a Tim Holtz Distress Ink range. Also with the oxides as well, I really like this color combination, and so I have used it for years. So what have we got? We've got antique linen, which is the lightest color that we've got. We've got vintage photo, which is the next lightest, and slightly darker we have got walnut stain, which will be our darkest color. So we've got a light, medium, dark, and then black soot, which is not actually used for any of the coloring, it's just to go around the edges, which obviously I will show you once we get to that stage. And we've got an anti-static bag to go with our embossing powders, which are gold and black. So we've got those, and we've got a little distressing tool, but that's the Crafter's Companion one. But I will show you another way of doing that if you haven't got it, and if you haven't got one of those, and a water mister, which I've got there. And again, if you've got a little one like this is the Spectrum Noir one, which is obviously filled with water. If you've got one of those, that's ideal as well, so you can use one of those. Right, okay, and also we have got archival ink, sepia, we have got watering can, archival ink watering can, which is like a grey, and then we have got our Versamark ink pad for the embossing. So those will be put to one side. We will use them in a moment. And then we just need to get our card prepared. Let me get these in order so I don't confuse myself. Yeah, that's right, do that. Then I'll put those to one side and put that to one side. We won't be needing that for the minute. Put our this embossing powders to one side. We're going to need that, and put the water to one side. Right, let's do our card. Right, we have got, this is a 300-gram A4 piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to grab my paper trimmer. So we know that our card is 7 inches, so, and we will be doing it that way. So I'm just going to cut this down to 7 inches. Like so. Get rid of that, keep that, you might need that later. And then I am going to cut these down to, and let me just check these widths again for you, just to make doubly sure that I have, yep, 3 inches, which is roughly 7.5 centimeters. So put that to one side. So 3 inches. Now you should be able to get roughly 3 or 4 pieces. That's 2 and 4. So now that last one is going to be slightly thinner, but so you can either use that for something else or put it away to one side, and you can use it for something else if you so desire. So I'm going to take one of these, and of course this is brilliant for batch making. So if you want to make a whole batch of these, obviously you can do 3 at a time. So you know, you can do 3 Christmas cards all in one go. So I'm going to put those to one side, and I'm going to now grab my mat, and I'm going to dive in first with my antique linen. So we need foam pad on there, we need our antique linen, and I need a bit of tissue paper just to protect my hands while we go around with the antique linen. So ink up your ink onto your foam, and then in you go. Now the thing is here, you're not going to notice a lot of color change on this, but it will be fine. So it just gives it a slightly darker look to the cream card. So it is a slightly darker shade than the cream, so it just gives it, to start with, that that kind of antique look, which is what we are aiming for. So, and I will hold it up to you in a minute, and I'm hoping you can already see that the cream card has already started changing color. So, and as many of you know in my previous videos, I do like doing my own backgrounds, because if you've got inks and you've got stamps, essentially you can do your own backgrounds. So here we go. I'm nearly there with the first color, and as you can, I haven't gone in the middle, I've left that cream. So, and that will become apparent as I put on the darker colors. So let's just give that a good rub. And of course, you don't have to use these stamps. You can use any other stamps if you've got in your stash. At the end of the day, I'm just giving you ideas of how to use your stamps. But what I will say, if you've got like Victorian images, they would work equally as well with this kind of technique. Now I'm just going to hold this up to you. Can you see that? And that is just with one colour, and that is with the antique linen. So, and we've got a pale bit in the middle. That is deliberate because we want that to be left light, the original colour. So I'm going to go in with Vintage Photo. So this is going to be slightly darker, so I don't want to go too far in. So I just want it with a hint of colour, and then starting off the mat in circular motions, and in you go, and just blend that ink in. And you don't have to go mad with this, just keep moving the blending tool in circular motions, and as you can see here, it's gradually fading into the lighter area, into the antique linen, which is exactly what we want. So again, just off onto your mat and gently just bring that ink onto your card. And it doesn't matter how many times you need to go and re-ink your blending tool, it doesn't matter, just as long as you get the results that you want at the end. Maybe a little bit more along the corners, and then again just off the page and back in. So you're still seeing that original colour of the antique linen that we've laid down first, and then so there we go. And again, although I'm using this for Christmas cards, there's nothing obviously stopping you from using it for mail themed cards. So if you've got like even die cuts of like a vintage car, you know, vintage images, even the steampunk images, it will work wonderfully well with this color combination that I'm showing you. So don't limit yourself to thinking, oh, you can only use this for Christmas. No, you can't. You can use it for anything that you, especially male themed cards. It's just such a masculine combination of colors. It's brilliant. So anyway, so back to the third color, which is now the walnut stain, and this is the darkest one, so err on the side of caution with this one. We just want to hint of color on the edges, and still maintaining the other two colors. So see how far I'm going in. I'm not doing that much. It's all about control. So, and again, just err on the side of caution, and you can still see the two colors that I've put down. So again, just come into the edge very lightly, a bit more around the corners, and a bit along the bottom, and there we have our distressed vintage old looking piece of card. So there we go. Cool. Right, excellent. I'm really pleased with that. I love the way that's turned out. Take off these pads. Now, with the let me just get rid of that for the minute. There we go. Right, with the black soot, just grab your and just go down along the side of the, and we're going to be doing this again later once we've distressed it, but for the time being we're just going to go, just gently stroke the ink pad along the edge of the cardstock, just like that. And the next thing is we're just going to get our mister and just spray it, and then take the drop out and just put a few big drops of water on, just like that, and then just leave that for a couple seconds. You can see it's already happening, and we've got things going on with the water. It's already reacting, and we just get a clean bit of kitchen towel, and over that goes. And the next thing we need to do is just make sure this is completely dry. Oh, look at that, that is so good. And then we're just going to clean our mat, make sure there's no colour left on our mat because we don't want to contaminate anything. And then we're just going to bring in our heat gun and give this a quick waft over. And I'm just going to get my little, some of you might know, I've got this. It's crocodile clip, which you can get in any hardware store or whatever, attached to a bit of doweling, and it just gives you a bit of extra length when you're heat embossing, and it just saves burning your fingers. So any ladies out there, get your husbands to make you one, because trust me, they are such a useful little thing to have. So especially when you're using heat guns and heat embossing, and you just want something a little bit longer to hold, this, what I've done, is just such ideal. So anyway, so here we go. We're just wafting the heat gun over our piece of work and making sure that is absolutely dry, because obviously at a later stage we're going to be using embossing powders. So that is nice and dry. That is happy with that. So I'm now going to get my stamps and ink, and I'm also going to get myself some copy paper to stamp onto, because we will be doing a little bit of stamping off the edge. And I'm going to get me that one and that one. Now this one is really an interesting stamp. I love it. And if you want to do backgrounds, don't confine this just because it's in a Christmas collection. You can use it all year round. It's there's nothing on there that stipulates it's Christmas. So again, you can use this all year round for your backgrounds. It's such a versatile and useful stamp. So I'm just going to grab myself a little block. Let me get that one out. And if you've got a stamping platform, obviously you can use that. So there we go. And then in we go with our sepia. And I'm just going to stamp it off first and then onto the card. And as you can see, I have stamped off the page. I haven't gone completely on it. So So just like tapping, and you don't have to be really fussy with this. You can, it's not a really specific thing here. So, and rotate your stamps so you're not getting the same pattern all the time like I've got down there, but it doesn't matter. We can disguise some of that. Just want it a bit more random. So yeah, so just remember to rotate your stamp, and then we can just get a feel. There we go. Cool. So random is good here. So yes. And again, being off the page, it looks as though you've actually cut it down. You've got that illusion. So again, we've kept the center fairly light, and we've just stamped around the edge. So lid back on ink pad, get a clean fresh wet wipe, and I want some stamp cleaner, because as many of you know me by now with my previous videos, clean stamps. So let's just give that a quick wipe and clean. See how much is still on there? It's quite surprising, really. Just give that another quick burst. And then give that a quick dry. There we go, that's nice and clean. So that I know is now ready and good for me to go. The next time, put that on back on its collection, so I know where it is, so I know it's back. Right, on this one, the music one, for those of you who don't read music, the correct way for it to be is you've got a little, you probably won't be able to see it, but you've got a little, what is called a treble clef. So it reads along that way. That is the correct way of reading it, and for the correct way for the stamp to be. So when it goes down, your little treble clef will be, and then I'm going to switch it and go. So that is the correct way of using this stamp. If I get the bigger one, just bear with me a minute. Yeah, so that's the bigger one. So you've got the treble clef at the side, you've got the notes. So yeah, that is the right way up. So when you come to stamp, it'll be that way. So we're going to go in with our archival ink watering can, and this time I am not going to stamp it off. I'm going to use the first generation of ink, but I am going to only partially stamp it onto my piece of work. So, and then I'm going to alter the length of it, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to come over ways like that. So, and we do this about 3 or 4 times. Again, it's up to you how much you want to go down, but I'm going to leave that like it is for the top, and then I'm just going to come halfway down the card, and I'm going to just go in like that, and then just a little bit more, a few more down the bottom here, and again stagger it, and then maybe another one just like that. Cool, excellent. So we have one finished background, so we can put the archival ink pads back because we have now finished with those. We don't need those. And again, clean your stamp. Let's give this a quick clean. There we go. Put that, pop that back up there, and then just make sure there's no ink, and then just give that a quick wipe, and we know now that stamp is clean and good for me to go the next time I want to come and use it. Right, cool. Right, I'm going to give this another quick blast of the heat gun just to make sure it is absolutely dry for when we apply our embossing powder. So and these stamps, they're not new stamps, they've been out for years as far as I'm aware, and every now and again I do get them out and I do use them, and I like playing with them. They're such a nice classic vintage Christmas stamps. They really are great to use, and they stamp really well, which is what you would come to expect from Stampers Anonymous. So cool, I'm pleased with that. That is now dry again, so let's move that out the way. And what we're going to do now is we are going to stamp our star, which will be taken from the might as well get the Three Kings out as well. So we've got the piece and the star, which is from the Christmas Time 2 collection. So I'm just going to see, and that fits lovely and perfectly. And so I'm just going to put that down onto my block. Again, you can use a stamping platform if you so desire. So I'm just going to give that a really good rub over with my anti-static just to make absolutely sure. And then we need to come in with our Versamark, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn that over just in case there is any. Better get a clean sheet. There we go. Put that there. Get our ink pad, and again light tapping over the stamp because you only want ink on the raised surface of the stamp. So very light stamping, and bearing in mind keeping your piece of artwork the right way up, because you don't want it, now you've gone to the trouble of putting your music notes in the right way, you don't want to put it the wrong way, so keep it the right way up. And I think that should do me. Put the ink cover back on the ink pad, stop it drying out, and I have got, if you can see these shiny bits on that, it's all shiny, so that means my stamp has got a nice covering of Versamark on it. And as usual, just hover over your piece of work of where you want to place the stamp, and then once you go down, just press firmly and let that ink make contact with the surface of the card, and then swap over hands, press down on the other side, and just keep doing that, just to allow that ink to soak into the card stock. And then again, the other side, and one more time the other side, and that should do us. And then lift off in one fell swoop. And again, we can now clean our ink pad, sorry, clean our stamp. Don't want to clean your ink pad, it'd be fatal. So clean your inks, clean your stamp, give that a quick wipe over, and then get your piece, and you know that is good to go. And then once we've done that, we can get our gold embossing powder. That's black. And there's our gold, and we can then go about there. And if we need a little bit at the top, we can do so. There we go. Now it's not going to show very much until we start heat embossing. So once we've set it, then you'll be able to see it a bit more clearly. And by that, I don't think I've missed anything. It's all stamped pretty well. I mean, if you can see, I'm not going to touch it. It's all inked up pretty well, so I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm just going to grab my little tool again and push that onto there, and then we get our heat gun and we heat set this, and it will go all nice and gold. And again, we've already heated up our heat gun, so it won't take long to heat up again. So once that's all turned shiny and gold, that is done. So there you go. If I just wiggle it around a little bit, you can see how that's all set. So all we need to do now is put in our 3 kings. So there they are, and just to show you, they do actually fit on there. So we get our block again, and what we do now is just quickly ink up with the Versamark, which I've got here, and lightly tap all over, making sure you've got an even coverage of ink all over the stamp, and then lid back on. And if I show you and hold that up to you, you can see very clearly that has got a nice layer of ink all over that stamp where it's shiny. And then, just to make absolutely sure, anti-static bag at the bottom of your card, just to make absolutely sure that's all dry and clean. And then we can go in with our 3 kings, and it does actually fit. Just make sure this back leg is as close to this edge as you possibly can get it, and then down it goes. And again, just hold that in place for a couple minutes for the ink just to get onto the surface of the card, and just keep pressing down all over just to make sure you've made very good contact with all of the card, and the ink is on that card where you've inked up your stamp. And that it should be that, and I will put that to one side, and I will clean my stamp, give that a quick spritz, put that to one side, and then just clean this. It doesn't take it only takes a few seconds, but it will save you an awful lot of trouble potentially in the future. We could put our block to one side, we don't need that, they've just all collapsed on me, but hey ho. We don't need the gold, we need the black, so we can bring that in, bring our piece of work in, and then we can sprinkle on our black embossing powder. And there we have our 3 kings at the bottom of our card. How cool is that? So, okay, so we need just to put this back into the pot. Waste not, want not. And just clear up this little bit that I didn't manage to get in. Put that back in. There we go. Cool. Sorted. Lid back on the pot because you don't want to spill it. Put that back on its shelf, and then that is more or less it. So heat emboss, heat set your piece of work, and wait for the 3 kings to all go shiny and black. Which is just now happening. There we go. And because it's black, it just shows up that much clearer. And there you have, and you can see, if I wiggle that around, you can see how glossy and black that is now. So that means you have heat set it perfectly, correctly. And by doing that, it just fits on the bottom of this piece of card. So yeah, so it's very good for batch making. So we can get rid of all this now, and then we can just give it a little bit of a tidy up, and then we will just matte layer our piece of work and finish our card. So I'm just going to get rid of all these. Oh, last thing, do that. Put the ink pads away. I'll just put them over there for the minute. Put those there, and I want that and that and that. Yeah, the last thing, just give your, now you can just give this a bit of a rough up, and with your distress tool you can use the Crafter's Companion one, or if you prefer, you can be careful how you do this because you are opening up a blunt, and you can use just an edge of a pair of scissors. So whatever works for you, you will get basically the same results. And then we just go around all 4 sides, just roughing up. Now the reason I've done this first, this last, is because if you rough up the edges, it's going to raise the edge, so when you come to stamp the 3 kings, it won't sit properly. So that's why I've left doing this last. So that's the reason why I've left this doing that, because if you feel, when you do it and you feel the bottom of the card and where you've roughed it up, you can see a slight raised edge, and that will affect your stamp. So yeah, so do the roughing up bit right at the end. So yeah, I'm happy with that. That can go away. And then I'm just going to go in with the as you can see, I've got some white edges now, so I need to disguise that, and that will just bring it out a bit more. And there you have it. And there is your finished, well, you've just made a topper really, I mean, so, and what we need to do now is cut this down, because we know we've used a 7 by, we know our card is 7 inches, so we just need to cut this down to 7 inches. And then we're going to just get us some double-sided sticky tape and put, so that should be the same width as that now. I'm going to trim that bit off, that's absolutely fine. So so around all 4 edges of your piece of artwork with double-sided tape, and then last bit at the top, and then we just get a pair of scissors, trim off, if you've got a bit overhanging, just trim that off, and you can put that on there. Put that on there, and then we get a pokey tool and we just lift off our tape. And then we're just going to mat and lay this onto Go card, and then we will attach it to our card blank. So this will just take a few minutes to do that. So I'm going to minimize my wastage because I need about 1/8 of an inch. So I think just to give me, I think that will be just about right. Take off our bits of tape, and that can all be pressed down home firmly. There we go. And then we just bring in our perfect layer ruler, of which I want the 1/8 of an inch. There we go, which is that one. And because we've roughed up the edges of the card, this will sit along, this will slide up to it very happily. So, and then down you go. Put that to one side because you can really use that for future use. And then down the other side. Put that away, put your scalpel away, and then tidy up these little bits and pieces, and then we just then attach some more double-sided to, just attach a bit more double-sided to our card on the back, and then we get our card blank, and then that will be our card finished. So I hope you've liked and enjoyed this. If you have, please like and subscribe to my channel by hitting that bell so you'll get notified in the future of any videos that I do. And if you like to share and copy onto like other Facebook groups or Pinterest groups that you belong to, or any other, well, any card making group that you belong to, that would be absolutely brilliant. So if you like to copy and share, that would be awesome, and thank you very much for doing that. So I'm just going to trim these off, and I'm just going to show you something which I've just noticed, but it isn't a problem, it isn't a biggie. I'm going to leave that side down. What I've done here, is it on that one? It's down there, I was right. I've see the stickies just overhang it, just fold it back, and that'd be absolutely fine, and that will solve that, and then you won't get any. So if you think, oh, what am I going to do now, that's all you need to do. Just fold it back and it will stick to itself, and you won't mess up your card. So just get rid of these little bits, and then we will just retrieve our card blank, lay this down, put that to one side. Here we have our 5x7 card blank. Make sure it's open in the right way that you want it, and then here we go, down it goes onto the card. I was going to trim that little bit off at the top, but it doesn't matter. That's fine. So down it goes. Pull off the your little bits of tab, and then we have one finished Christmas card. There you go. There's your one finished Christmas card. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.